Dynasty Startup Mock Draft starting now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead. Let's get this going. We are going to be at pick 9, and this will be a super flex tight end premium draft with the rookies included. So if I want to go through and take Caleb Williams at 9, I'm more than welcome to do just that. Now, Josh Allen goes, Mahomes goes right after. This is what I see all the time on the flogfantasy.com community rankings. Looks like it's pretty much consensus that everybody now has Allen 1, Mahomes 2, Stroud 3. I can go ahead, pull that up on flogfantasy.com. The community rankings are free for y'all to check out anytime you want. And yeah, I mean, that's exactly how the first 4 guys go off the board. Allen, Mahomes, Stroud, Joe Burrow, with Burrow being the 4th overall pick. Now, after you have the top 4, I mean, I know everybody loves seeing Lamar there. It's, in my mind, not as simple as just going ahead and taking Lamar. I do think that Lamar is a little bit of a shorter runway in comparison to the other quarterbacks at the very top, just given that his game is dictated so much based off athleticism. Not saying he's not a capable passer. I think he's a very capable passer, but it is a little bit of a different setup. We have Jalen Hurts off the board, so we could go ahead. We could take Caleb Williams. We could take CeeDee Lamb. We could take Justin Herbert. If you look at the flogfantasy.com community rankings, the 101 is ahead of Justin Herbert, and CeeDee Lamb's ahead of them as well. We took a wide receiver in round 1 of the last startup draft that we did, so I want to mix it up. Let's go ahead. Let's take Justin Herbert here, pick 9. I still view Justin Herbert as an elite level talent at the quarterback position. Obviously, it sucks that you have no Keenan, you have no Mike Williams. Quentin Johnson looks like an absolute bum. But nonetheless, you have the 5th overall pick here. So I think we can assume that this team probably goes ahead. They probably take a wide receiver, whether that's somehow they get Marvin. I mean, maybe they go Neighbors, maybe they go Rome. Whatever it is, I do think that they'll bring in somebody. Now we have Marvin off the board as well as Amon-Ra St. Brown. So let's mix it up. I think that we will go through and... No, I can't. So if you wanted to go quarterback, I think the quarterback that you're going to take is Jordan Love. I think a lot of people would want to go in that direction. But now that we have Cousins going over to Atlanta, I think I'll be a little bit more confident in just pulling the trigger on Bijan Robinson. I think if we went CeeDee Lamb in round 1, I'd probably go Jordan Love, followed up in round 2. However, going with Herbert in round 1, it's going to be hard for me to pass on my guy in Bijan here. But thank you for everybody joining us. Briner in here at Big 10. We got Connor out here at 2. Yes, you know I got to throw a Bears player in the thumbnail. We got Trouble in here at 4. Rental Turtle says, how's your day going, Mason? To be completely honest with you, no bueno, my friend. I mean, I'm running 101 degree fever. I can't get off the toilet. So if this live stream gets cut off in round 5, in round 6, I have a solid reason for it. I'll be running into the bathroom if that happens, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to try my best to make it through the entire draft here, but we will see if it is possible. But we got Gucci Broomstick in here at 8. And what is really funny is if you look at March Madness, Bijan Robinson had a perfect bracket all the way up until yesterday. He was like, I want to say one of the, like, it was like the last 1,000 people to have a perfect bracket. Bijan was there. Of course, he takes Texas to win it all. Smart man. But absolutely nuts. Okay. So, yeah. And what sucks about having... I don't know if it's a flu or what it is. But I'm sick. And I am racing my first triathlon, like an Ironman, a half Ironman in 2 weeks. So it is not good timing at all. Okay. Now Sam Laporta off the board, 302. A tight end premium format, obviously completely fine. Nico Collins goes 303. I personally would rather pull the trigger on one of the quarterbacks here. I probably would go ahead and I'd take Brock Purdy, 304 instead of Nico Collins, but it is what it is. Let's move this around. So quarterback best available according to Sleeper ADP is Justin Fields. don't listen to that. I mean, even if you're not a member of flogfantasy.com, you can go ahead. You can pull up the community rankings for free anytime you want. And we have Justin Fields as the community rankings as quarterback 22 and 117 overall, in comparison to him being 23 overall on Sleeper. So if you are in a mock draft or if you are in your real draft, please make sure that you are going through and you are using the flogfantasy.com. If you're a paid member of the site, I would probably use the expert rankings. If you don't want to be a paid member, completely fine. I would at least use the community rankings over this Sleeper data. And we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Jaden Daniels 309 here. I mean, I don't really have much hesitation with this cornerstone asset, and that I think with Daniels, given his rushing upside, you can go through and you can compete with him in the short term. And obviously with him being a rookie, he has the extended runway as well, where you have the long-term value with him. So be completely fine to go ahead and take Jaden Daniels 309. We have CMC off the board 310. Will be a little difficult for us to figure out what we're going to do next. Let me pull up the rankings. Yeah, I think I know where we'll go. Devonta Smith goes 401. Rome goes 402. I like the Rome pick, not going to lie. London goes 403. So I was going to go ahead. I was going to take Drake London here just based off of market value right now. On flogfantasy.com, he's wide receiver 10 in the community rankings. I think that London belongs like to be back-to-back with Jalen Waddle. But based off updated values currently, I think you need to take London because you could sell London for like Waddle plus a second-round pick, which I 100% would do, to be completely honest with you, with both these guys being young cornerstone assets. Compete with them now. They have long-term value as well. London, I want to believe, is a top-tier talent. I think he will be very good with Kirk Cousins, but we haven't seen it at the NFL level. It is a projection where we have seen Waddle be very good at the NFL level already, and also he was a phenomenal prospect. So I would have taken London if you would have made it to us at the 404, but we will go with Waddle, with London going the pick before. And of course, real quick, if y'all are not already a member of the Flog, you can be on flogfantasy.com. I mean, that's where you can find all of the expert rankings for all your favorite creators, pretty much everybody you watch on YouTube, to be completely honest. Plus all the Dynasty Rookie Draft Guides, our Dynasty Trade Calculator, our Dynasty Trade Finder, all my rankings. And when you use code FLOCK as well, you're going to get 30% off any sub. And yours truly will break down your Dynasty Fantasy Football team with the podcast with code FLOCK. So make sure you take advantage of that. You can find the link in the description, comment section, live chats, pretty much everywhere. But Brock Bowers off the board 409. I do feel like the Bowers hype has kind of cooled down a bit from where it was a few months ago. Not saying that's right or wrong. It is just something that I have noticed. I mean, I think that if people are selling him to be the best tight end prospect of all time, or even a better tight end prospect than Kyle Pitts, I think it is very aggressive. I would rather have Bowers over Pitts now in Dynasty based off Pitts failing over the past few seasons. It kind of changes his range of outcomes. But if we're just looking at prospects. Devon Achane off the board 412. I think it's a very reasonable price point for Achane. I mean, on flogfantasy.com halfway through the year last year, we wrote that article deep diving into Achane, saying why he was that sell high candidate. Back then, Jahmyr Gibbs was behind him in the community rankings. We were saying sell Achane for Gibbs, sell Achane for Jonathan Taylor plus a pick. You could have done that at the time as well. Now I think with Achane falling here to go at the 4-5 turn, it's a very reasonable price point. Obviously has a very strong upside case. And at the same time, he does have some red flags, right? Now, Travis Etienne off the board at 504. Now, Peanut Butter Jelly says, where do we want Bowers landing? Best case scenario for Bowers, which just looks less likely now, in my mind, would have been the Los Angeles Chargers. I think they're going to go receiver now. So I don't know. Maybe that's why the steam's kind of died down on Bowers, just because if that's not a realistic landing spot anymore, you have to be, I don't know, a little more hesitant. Higgins off the board. I think we're going to go ahead, take Rashee Rice. With Rice, this is a wide receiver that didn't really run routes deep downfield year one. I mean, didn't run the full route tree, at all. Is kind of used a little more as a gadgety type guy. Get him the ball near the line of scrimmage, let him pick up yards after the catch. But we are drafting him aggressively in round 2 of rookie drafts last year for the sole purpose of, there's nobody proven on this Chiefs roster at wide receiver. He was just selected in round 2. So let's go ahead. Let's target him aggressively. Not a Kadarius Toney believer. We wrote the article on flogfantasy.com last year calling Toney the worst pick in fantasy. And then also not a big Sky Moore believer. So, yeah, I think Rashee Rice still in that very similar situation, right? The Chiefs didn't go out and sign Calvin Ridley. They haven't traded for Higgins, which I doubt that would be possible in the first place. But, yeah, Chiefs really haven't added anybody at wide receiver. Rice looked like a low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2 in the second half of his rookie year. And we're getting him here at the end of the 5th round of a startup. So I feel very comfortable with that. Okay. Sam says, Kincaid only ran 5-yard outs last year. I'm going to need to see a better plan for Kincaid in the Bills offense before I crown him. At the same time, you just at least at tight end, in my mind, I'm never expecting anything year one anyway. So if I'm never expecting anything year one anyway, I'm going to be completely fine just saying, okay, you show us a couple usable weeks and you're a round 1 NFL draft pick. I don't want to say I'm crowning Kincaid, but I think it's a completely fair price if you wanted to draft him there. And we're going to go ahead. We will take Jackson Smith-Njigba. So I know we made the video early in the offseason saying to sell high on JSN. Essentially, if you could pivot over to a pick that would get you Rome, let's go ahead and do it. Even though JSN has valid excuses for why his year 1 wasn't great, aka DK Metcalf's there, Tyler Lockett's there. Still, at the end of the day, if you're able to pivot to another wide receiver that's going to go top 10 in the NFL draft and you're able to go get Rome instead of Jackson Smith-Njigba, which back then you easily could have, I thought that was a nice pivot to make. But now that JSN's going in round 6 of startup drafts, I think it's a very reasonable price point. Yeah, year 1 wasn't great. But at the end of the day, he's a 21-year-old rookie. Really liked the prospect profile. He got hurt going into the season. He had serious competition there as well. So it is what it is. We will take him. And honestly, if we're comparing him to another wide receiver there in Seattle and DK Metcalf, where Metcalf has had now 3 straight seasons of just being a high-end wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2. Going into year 6 of DK Metcalf's career, I'd probably rather just have JSN. Let me pull up flogfantasy.com and see where are these guys ranked. Okay, so these are the community rankings. These aren't my rankings. If you wanted to add my rankings, just hit filter, add expert, and you go through and hit Mason Dodd. That's my name, just in case you don't know. But let's move this over. DK Metcalf, wide receiver 20 in the community rankings. JSN, wide receiver 24. That is a little surprising. DK Metcalf hasn't finished higher than the wide receiver 20 in 3 straight seasons now. So to be completely honest with you, yeah. I think DK Metcalf is a strong sell candidate. If you could sell him and get back Addison, Higgins, Rice, I think it should be a lot closer to like Jaden Reed, Jackson Smith-Njigba. Sam says Sky Moore or Treylon Burks. I'd rather have the roster spot, my friend. I have no idea. If I had to pick someone, I think it's neither one of them have great excuses for not giving you anything through the first 2 years. Maybe I go Treylon Burks because I liked him more coming out of school, but I have no idea. Carson says, what is your day job? My day job is embarrassing myself on YouTube, my friend. That is the day job. Now, Rachaad White off the board at 702. a very reasonable price point with Rachaad White. I mean, White kind of wins free agency here, and that Tampa doesn't go out there and sign anybody. Obviously, they can still draft someone. I do think that they would probably rather have it be a running back by committee, not necessarily use Rachaad White as a true bell cow back. But this is a draft class that's not super strong. He's already dodged free agency. So, yeah, Rachaad White's in a pretty good spot going into this next year. Okay. Now we have Deebo Samuel off the board. So, best quarterbacks available: Justin Fields, Stafford, Geno, Russ. Let's go ahead and let's just pull up the quarterback. Another thing, if you are looking at flogfantasy.com, you're going to be able to compare these quarterbacks with rookie picks as well. So you know, okay, if I have Tua, he's valued somewhere between the 106, 107, right? So I really do like that. But let's search where you have the quarterbacks. Stafford right now is quarterback 20 in the community rankings. Fields, like we said, is 22. Geno's 26. Russ is 23. Going over to running back, honestly, all these guys are so damn gross. Hollywood off 706. That is an aggressive selection for Hollywood Brown in my mind. Adonai goes after. I mean, I'm not even an Adonai fan. I'd rather have him. Let's go ahead. Oh, we're on quarterback. That's why that's not searching. Hollywood's wide receiver 30 in the community rankings currently. Watson's 37. Diggs 28. Adams 32. I mean, I would rather have Diggs relatively easily over guys like Hollywood here. So, yeah, I mean, if you're able to pivot off of Hollywood Brown and instead go out there and get someone like Stephon Diggs, I think that's pretty much a no-brainer. We're going to be taking Stephon Diggs over Bo Nix, Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, Trey Benson, Blake Corum, and Jonathan Brooks. Those are the best available rookies currently. I mean, Stephon Diggs obviously going out there making a bunch of noise on Twitter and yada, yada, yada. Which, I mean, if Diggs gets sent out of Buffalo, it should be very concerning. But right now, if you look at Vegas sportsbooks, which obviously I say it all the time, they know more than you, they know more than me. We should always listen to the data they're giving us. That's how we are super confident right away this offseason that Caleb Williams would be a Chicago Bear and that Justin Fields would be traded just based off looking at Caleb Williams being like minus 800 to go to Chicago. Right now, Diggs, I believe, is like minus 400 or minus 350 last I checked to be a Buffalo Bill this next season. So if overwhelmingly he's likely to be in Buffalo, I don't know. I'd rather have him over Hollywood relatively easily. Maybe like I'd rather have him over Franklin in a vacuum. If you're looking at like Franklin Adonai, obviously you can say, okay, well, if I'm a rebuilding roster, I don't necessarily have much use for Stephon Diggs, yada, yada, yada. So I'd understand that thought process. Najee Harris off the board, 801. Tony Pollard goes 802. I think I know what we're doing. Evans off the board now. So quarterbacks, you have Fields, Stafford, Geno. Running back, Kamara, Spears, Montgomery, Brian Robinson. Wide receiver, Kupp, Godwin, Terry, Kirk. Tight end, you have Kelsey and Njoku, Ferguson. I'm going to go over to the rookies. I'm going to take Bo Nix. Now, if Bo Nix ends up going to like the Denver Broncos, pick 12, this is a massive value going right in between Mike Evans and Deontay Johnson. And I'd be jumping up and down with excitement if Bo Nix is a top 15 NFL draft pick and we get him in round 8 of a startup. Now, of course, by no means is that a guarantee. If you look at NFL mock draft database right now, Bo Nix is projected out to be like a late round 1 pick. And if he does go late round 1, say instead he's going around pick 29, yada, yada, yada. If he's in that range, then I'm still okay with this price point, especially on this roster where we have a nice blend of youth as well. But, I mean, I've said it time and time again. We've said it for, I believe, since this channel has been around. But I can't come out here and pretend like I'm some expert quarterback guru scout with these guys coming out of college. NFL scouting departments that are able to talk to these players one-on-one that are able to meet with these guys that have way more resources than we do, they get it wrong time and time again. So if they're going to get it wrong time and time again, really, I feel like the best that I can do is look at NFL draft capital. Not only look at NFL draft capital, but at the same time, look at the rushing upside of that quarterback, where we can say, okay, even if they're bad from a real life perspective, can they be good from a fantasy football perspective? Look at Justin Fields 2 years ago. Worst passing offense the NFL has seen in the past decade, but he was phenomenal in fantasy. And then also look at the situation that they're stepping into. What do their weapons look like? If they are the starting job, are they put in a position to succeed? So yeah, I'm going to listen to draft capital, rushing upside situation that they're going into. And I'm not going to be able to sit here and pretend like, oh, I can grind the tape and I'm going to be able to accurately identify what quarterbacks are going to have success at a higher clip than whatever these teams do in the NFL draft. Now, that's not to say just draft them in order that they go off the board in the NFL draft, right? Like, hypothetically, if, say, quarterback with, say, going back to the Lamar Jackson class, should we discount Lamar because he's going at the very end of round one? No, because you understand, okay, well, he goes very into round one. Historically speaking, that means he's going to get his chance to start. If he doesn't do well, they'll probably replace him quickly. It's not like he'll have a super long leash. But if he does start, he's going to be in a phenomenal spot in terms of just going out there and putting up ridiculous fantasy points given his rushing upside. So you should obviously put a premium on him despite whatever draft capital that looked like. Blind says, what is Fields' realistic outcome past this year's season? Does he stay and eventually start in Pittsburgh? If I had to go through and wager if Justin Fields would ever be a starting quarterback going into the season for an NFL organization, not a situation in which, let's get two spots out of the way. First, let me get ready to make my pick here. God, my stomach hurts so bad. Ramondre off. We'll just take Cup. I can't think. I'm in so much pain. But anyway, looking at Fields, getting rid of two scenarios. One, a scenario in which he is on an NFL roster. The team takes a rookie quarterback to be the guy in the long term, and Fields going to start over him in the short term, aka what we've seen in Mariota in years past, maybe what the Raiders are doing with Gardner Minshew right now. Outside of that scenario and outside of a scenario where he's the starting quarterback because the guy in front of him got injured, I would say that the most likely outcome for Justin Fields is he never is the starting quarterback for an NFL team through the entire season again. Now, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers made a fantastic decision to pay Russell Wilson $1 million to go to Pittsburgh and to give the Bears a 6th round pick for Justin Fields, saying we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, both these guys are probably bad, but if either one of them turns out to be good, then cool. We invested nothing into them. I think that the Steelers made a great decision in trading a 6th round pick for Justin Fields, but if we are being likely here, I don't necessarily know if you look at just the median projection, if you should ever expect him to be like the full-blown starting quarterback for a team. That team was planning on him going into the season, and they're not planning on replacing him ever again. But you have to value him higher than just that median projection because of his rushing upside. If he were to be a starting quarterback, you know for a fact that he is someone that you can start in fantasy football. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We will take Jonathan Brooks here at the 10:04. With Jonathan Brooks, one, Hook 'em Lawrence. Of course, we got to get that out of the way. Two, I wish he was 100% healthy. I wish we had testing numbers on him. I wish that he was not going to start off slow at the beginning of the year. But with all that being said, he is still a running back that is a great receiver. He's still a running back that has the size to be a 3-down back. He's still a running back that's projected to be a day 2 NFL draft pick. And if I look at him in comparison to a lot of these other running backs that are going around him, like I would rather have Jonathan Brooks over Aaron Jones at this point. So let's go ahead and let's do it. Cameron says, would you send the 110 for Levis in a 14-team league? No third quarterback. So a couple different things. Obviously, if it's a super flex format, it's a no-brainer. Yes, send the 112 for Will Levis. In a 14-team super flex league, quarterback is extremely difficult to come by. If it's a one quarterback format, probably not. I understand in a one quarterback league, QBs are still harder to come by in a 14-team league, but I would rather have the 112 and see if we have someone like May falling to us there. So super flex format in a 14-team super flex league where the supply and demand's thrown out of whack and it's very difficult to get those guys, 100% I would trade the 112 for them. But one quarterback format, I don't necessarily think so. Okay. So let's move this over. And let me show y'all the entire board real quick. So we have at quarterback, Herbert, Daniels, Bo Nix. Running back, we have Bijan, Jonathan Brooks, Hook'em Horns. Wide receiver, we have Waddle, Rice, JSN, Diggs, and Cooper Kupp. So very interesting team. A blend of long-term value as well as short-term production, which this is something in years past I really didn't like. And in years past, I thought that I needed to have a team identity with my roster and I needed to say, okay, I'm going all in. We're going to contend this year, or I'm all out. We're going to rebuild and we're going to get the 101. I mean, I thought that with my dynasty teams, I'm talking back Mason from 2014, 15, 16, 17. I thought this for a very long time. I had to make that decision. I had to go all in one way or another when we are in March. But I've been thinking more and more lately, and I'm sure if you're a member of flockfantasy.com, you've heard me talk about your team. You've kind of seen this mindset shift where now it's, in my mind, a little more advantageous of a spot to be in. If you have a nice blend of both kind of assets, we go into the season, and then by the time we get to weeks 3 or week 4, we have a better feel of our overall roster, and we have a better understanding, okay, is this a team that should go to push in to try to win right now, or is this a team that would be better off trying to win in the long term? And then going through and making the move at that point. Okay, so Blake Corum would be the rookie that we would take here. Quarterback, Geno. Running back, probably Chubb. Wide receiver, probably Judy. I'd rather Judy or Blake Corum. Or Michael Mayer, or Pat Frymuth, or Cole Kmet. I'm going to go Cole Kmet with this being a tight end premium format. I mean, Kmet, if you look at his market share numbers in Chicago, it's actually been pretty good. The issue is, obviously, this has just been one of the worst passing offenses in the entire league. Only 25 years old, came out of Notre Dame at 21, extremely young player. So we'll go ahead, pull the trigger on him, and continue to build out that flexibility on either contending in the short term or long term. Okay. Now, Michael Mayer off the board here at the 11-12 turn. Can y'all spam the chat? Would you rather have Kmet or Michael Mayer? Because, I mean, ADP had Mayer higher. Let me pull up what it is on flockfantasy.com. Mayer. Okay, so community rankings, Mayer's tight end 14, expert rankings. Oh, also, if you don't know that you can do this, just click community or expert and it will sort it for you. So you can say, oh, he's tight end 13 in expert rankings. Kmet is tight end 12 in expert rankings and tight end 11 in community. So it does look like most people would rather have Kmet. And, ooh, okay, we're back up on the clock. Do we just take a starting quarterback? We'll double dip at tight end. I'll take someone that I thought was a very intriguing buy low candidate. I mean, we weren't even buying low on him. We were buying high on him last year in Pat Frymuth. And obviously it turned out to be a very bad call. One of my worst calls of last year was going through and saying I'd rather have Frymuth over like the rookie tight ends. I mean, obviously it's embarrassing looking back on. Hopefully, if quarterback situation's improved in Pittsburgh, hopefully if Frymuth stays healthy, it's a better situation. Because he was much, much better than what you typically expect from a rookie and a second-year tight end. But still, probably not someone that we should be taking there at the 1204. If you wanted to go like Dotson, I wouldn't fault you for it. If you want to go Geno, I wouldn't fault you for it. Or what rookie? Or if you want to go Blake Corum, I wouldn't fault you for it. But yeah, let me show you all the draft board. I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm not going to be able to hang out too much longer with y'all. Don't think we embarrassed ourselves too much. Hopefully not, but I'm sure that we did. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate y'all. And as always, if you haven't done so already, hit that like, subscribe, play Dynasty Fantasy Football. And if you want to get access to all the rankings, trade calculator, live streams, everything is on flockfantasy.com, not only for myself, but all your favorite people that you watch on YouTube. Code FLOCK will get you 30% off any sub. Plus, yours truly will break down your Dynasty Fantasy Football team in a podcast. And we have very, very exciting things coming soon with the site that I think y'all are going to love. But thank you. Appreciate you. And hope we get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow.